My name is Mitch Benner, and we started this podcast to remove the stigma around sobriety from addiction.
My name is Aaron Nelson. Through our stories and the stories of our guests, we hope to help you find a new path.
We are here, this Shattered Darkness, episode number 4. And today we are going to interview our co-host, Aaron Nelson. He's got quite a story. And 8 years sober, and he is my partner on this project. And just super grateful for him in my life and his story and vulnerability. So welcome, Aaron.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Yep.
Happy to be here. Happy to share everything with y'all. That's exciting.
Absolutely. First of all, I want to say you just celebrated 8 years, right?
8 years yesterday.
Congratulations, man.
Thanks.
That's an amazing accomplishment.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. It's good to have family. It's good to have people there to help. I mean, my wife, Naya, mom, dad, Gina, Roger, everybody.
Yeah. You got a good support system, obviously.
Yeah, it's cool because it's kind of like a good balance.
So you have kind of two different spectrums with your family. You're saying to support like your family who's maybe more actually supportive, like.
No, they're all supportive.
Okay.
Yeah, no, they're 1000% supportive, but like the way that they go about it is just different.
Gotcha.
So it's really cool to marry into that where, my parents just, they have just what you're used to.
Right.
And then you have someone in her family, which is amazing. And they're all just like very direct.
Oh, okay. I got you. That's, that's kind of how Ashley and I's family is, but flip-flopped. Like
Okay. I'm
the direct side and hers is kind of more like, hey, let's give each other hugs and support each other with love,
It was one of those things where when I first started dating Naya, she would send her friends into the restaurant that I was working at, and they come in and eat dinner.
Like, okay, like just to kind of check, like scope you out.
Yeah, because she wanted their opinion.
So you had no idea who they were?
She told me like this one family's going to come in and so I was nervous. So I drank like 4 margaritas and then they come in and I'm like, kissing their ass and all over them or whatever.
Yeah.
But I mean, at the end of the day, they said it was good because we'd be a good balance.
Yeah.
Just the way I am and the way she is. Yeah. And her parents are the same thing. So
that's awesome.
I remember when I asked her to marry me and I was like, dude, like months, not even months, maybe weeks from being sober when I actually proposed to her.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I remember I got the ring on, I think like Black Friday or something. Like,
smart.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't have much money and it was there. And then I asked her dad and he's like, yeah, you need any help? I'm like, cool. I'm golden. I'm in.
Yeah. Nice. Dude, that's awesome.
Easy peasy. But I think I was like texting him or something and he's like, who is this? He didn't recognize the number. I was like, dude, it's your future son-in-law. Like, what's up?
Yeah.
And he goes, whoa, you talk to the nice one. You gotta ask.
Oh, it's the mom,
Gina. And I'll never forget this because this was after like my pseudo intervention and all that. And she just let me know. And that's what I love about Gina, and her and I are close now. But she's like, you're not ready. You're not good enough. I was a piece of shit, dude.
Yeah.
Like I was. But I fucking did it anyway. Took her to Zoo Lights like a couple weeks later.
Without her mom's permission? Or like,
yep.
Nice.
I was like, in my head, I was like, well, I got dad's permission. And he's a black belt in jiu-jitsu. So like, if he said it was cool and I got no risk of getting choked out, cool.
Yeah. Like, I'm good.
But on the other hand, though, as I say that, like he kind of told me, like, you better check with Gina.
Yeah.
So he really didn't give me his blessing, but I mean, I was a knucklehead, dude.
Yeah. So let's Quentin Tarantino the story.
Right.
We just kind of got the end. So let's start from the beginning.
Well, that was the genesis of sobriety. So I was like probably 3-4 weeks into my sobriety.
Your sobriety.
Yeah. I was like, look, I'm sober now. Marry me. We're good.
Yeah, right. Everything's fine. Yeah. I got this.
Just say yes. Don't worry about it.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
So where does the story start?
The one thing I can really point to was just doing it to be cool.
Drinking.
It started with weed.
Yeah.
Middle school. I remember the first time I got high. I'll never forget this. We were at a field trip in 6th or 7th grade.
Okay. Wow. Really?
Yeah.
Dang, that's crazy.
Yeah, maybe 8th grade. Doesn't matter. Middle school for sure. And I had wrestling practice that day, but we got home like early. And I remember this dude was like, yeah, we're going to go get high in the woods. Like, come on. And where our school was, it was like the main drive in Frisco. So like Summit Boulevard. And then you went over like a little hill to the school. And it's just like maybe a 1/10 of a mile, but you could like go to the top of the hill and then turn right into some woods.
Yeah.
And I went with these 2 guys, and they were definitely like, I mean, the crowd that you would think that would invite you to come smoke weed, you know?
Yeah. And I think it's good for the story to give a little background of where this actually is, because you're in Frisco, Colorado.
Yeah.
So you're surrounded by world-class ski resorts.
Yep.
And honestly, I hate to say it, I was in that world for a long time too. And there's a lot of drugs and alcohol in that world.
Yep.
So I just want to set that kind of scene, because you grew up in an environment where that stuff was very prevalent.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, man. I mean, all the way into middle school.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think everybody was, but I don't know. I just wanted to be cool. Like these guys that I was
gonna
chasing
say,
around.
what attracted you to it?
Yeah, these guys I thought were cool. They were edgy. They were wearing Jinkos.
God, you fucking Jinkos, dude.
Yeah, bro.
Somebody please send this guy a pair of fucking Jinkos.
No Lunchables in the back pocket though.
Oh, you.
They probably already high and ate
And
them.
then if you're not doing that, you're not doing it right.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
were they older than you? Your friends?
No,
Same grade?
no. Yep. But anyway, so we went there and smoked weed, and I got high the first time. Like a lot of people say they don't get high the first time. I was blazed.
You know why people don't get high the first time? Because they don't know how to inhale. They people swallow it, and you're like, no, that's seriously. I've learned this because
so weird.
Yeah, it's the stupid. Honestly, I'm not giving you tips on how to do drugs, but so yeah. Anyways,
well, that's a tip on how not to do it.
no, that's true. I guess you could swallow it. It's not going to work for you.
That's what she said. Anyway, so we
we have derailed.
Yeah. Anyway, so we go there and get high, and then I just kind of forgot that I had wrestling practice. And someone had like reminded me, like I walked back to the school, and someone's like, "We're going to wrestling practice. Let's go." And I'm immediately, man, now I am in trouble because I did not think this thing through.
Yeah.
And our wrestling room was above one of the hallways. And I walked up those steps, man, and it was at least 45 flights of stairs.
Yeah.
You know,
I totally know.
just kept going and going and going. And I get up there and I'm like, that's right when it hit me. And I'm like, oh, no. And so my wrestling coach was like, hey, are you okay? Let's wrestle. And I'm like, I forgot my clothes. And he's like, well, I can't remember if it was Harpy or whoever, but like they're over there wrestling and they got jeans on. And I'm like, and I think I just turned around and left.
Your coach is probably like, what the fuck just happened?
Yeah. Yep. And so I called my mom. She came and picked me up. And yeah, I think she knew something was going on, but we didn't really talk about it. I was like, I'm really tired or sick or something because she probably never seen me like that before. So that was when it started.
Gotcha.
And then, middle school, I don't really know, but it was this whole thing all the way through high school was just about impressing people.
Yeah.
This guy I looked up to, that was the first time I bought weed because he was cool. And I'm like, just sitting there. It was so random and impulsive. I'm just sitting there like, hey man, you got any weed? He's like, oh, I can bring some tomorrow. How much you want? And I'm like, I don't know. Like, here's $20. And he brought me a nugget back just to be cool with him.
Right. Yeah.
Like, stupid.
Yeah.
Stupid stuff. And then
peer pressure.
Yeah, but dude, not really.
But I was going to say, it doesn't sound like they pressured you. So do you think that there was a desire to do those kinds of things? And maybe you just kind of wrapped it up in the sense of like, hey, this is cool, or what? I mean, what gave you the idea that drugs were cool? You know what I'm saying? Like, Where did it come from is what I'm trying to get at.
I don't know. I think I was definitely naturally rebellious though.
Yeah.
And I can't answer that question by one thing. It was just a culmination of like,
what about your parents? Like, give us a little background on your folks. Were they, what kind of people are your parents?
Amazing.
Yeah.
Perfect. My dad is captain of Snake River Fire. He's out saving lives every day.
That's awesome.
Mom had in-home daycare. So again, just taking care of people.
Was alcohol and drugs a part of their life that you know of?
No, I mean, my dad always drank. Mom did a little bit. And but she stopped though. She's got a medical condition that kind of forced her to stop.
Yeah.
I mean, alcohol was there, but it wasn't like
abused.
No, but we also too, like I grew up on the softball. I remember like vivid memories of being on the softball field because my dad played, beer league softball.
Yeah.
For Moose Jaw. Dude, anytime anybody listening goes to Frisco, go to the Moose Jaw, get lunch. It is one of the last few remaining like places that have been there since forever.
Okay.
It's a bar.
It's in Frisco?
Yep, on Main Street.
Okay.
It's got the old West front to it.
Yeah.
Awesome place. So many awesome memories there. But like after a softball game, sometimes everybody would go back for a beer, and I remember it getting pretty rowdy.
Yeah.
Doing the chant. I remember this chant, old English pubs where you just sit there and you just sing, or they just
totally.
There's one like we like it here, fucking A, we like it here.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome, cool
Dude,
place.
and it's fun to draw this parallel. Like I lived in that area as well for a year, and the environment up there is awesome.
Yeah.
It is a lot of fun. And it's world class.
Yep.
I mean, you got 5 or 6 world class ski resorts that are all accessible from Frisco and Dillon and Silver Thorn. So
that's what I loved about it though, because the Moose Jaw is not like the Stube, which is right. I don't know if it's a Michelin restaurant, but it's up. That's on the top of Keystone.
Right. This is accessible for anybody in the general public.
That's where we were, man. We were not rich. Whenever I try to tell people I lived in like Silverthorne or Frisco, because it's not Breck, right. Vale.
It's Edwards. Like the affordable area of the valley.
Yeah. Exactly. Again, my mom did in-home daycare, and my dad was in the fire department.
Right.
So we weren't,
So service industry, which I think that's big to highlight that in your past. So that's cool.
But yeah, man, to get to the alcohol side, I remember my only memories are holidays in the firehouse because my dad's on shift. You're there. So right. Cooking Thanksgiving there. And then also at the softball field and bar. So it was like a cool scene.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to blame my parents. I'm not trying to blame my alcoholism.
I'm just trying to highlight your background.
Oh yeah.
And kind of where you came from.
Definitely not my parents' fault, but drinking was there. It was just a thing. It's just beers, whatever.
Right. So pretty normal.
Typical.
Yeah.
Yep. So fast forward to high school, and it was weekends of let's just go get fucked up. Because again, I was attracted to that counterculture because growing up there, countercultures like snowboarding
right.
and, X Games were really starting to get big, and the cool kids were out there.
Right.
Doing misties, smoking weed, and hanging out. And that's what I wanted to be.
And I get that for sure. Because I don't think the drugs were ever there for me, but the lifestyle attracted me, right? The fringe, kind of grungy, kind of that Grom lifestyle, like
100%.
Snowboarding. I loved it, dude. It was awesome. And, you're growing up, and we're growing up too in the times of skateboarding is really starting to hit, like it's super, super popular.
Yeah. And
snowboarding is starting to gain tons of steam, X Games, things like that. So, yeah.
Yep. Yeah, man. So we were, in high school, it was crazy. And I think this is where the addiction started of being comfortably numb is the only way I can really describe it, or being normal. So it was like sophomore, junior year. We were, well, maybe not sophomore, junior year for sure. And senior year, it was all about who's got a bag. And let's get high before school.
Yeah.
And then go to school high. And then afterwards, just go play disc. Disc golf is an amazing disc golf course up there. Before Beetle Kill murdered everything. It was like the 7th hardest course in America.
Yeah, dude, I know exactly which one you're talking about.
Yep, at the Peninsula.
Yep.
We got good at that. And then and this, again, back to the culture. There was a hole that was 420 feet long. And on the tee box, they set up logs so you could just have a huge sesh,
right?
And we would just sit there like groups behind us, and everybody would just come pack a bowl and
see. And that's the thing is like the course set that up, right? And we had the same thing, dude, in that snowboarding culture of like at the top of certain lifts, people that were local knew like that's where you go to smoke weed.
Hot box at Gondola.
Yeah, dude. It was in High Times magazine.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's how popular it was to local crowds. And so we're trying to draw this parallel of like, this stuff is extremely acceptable in public settings in the environment that you guys are in.
Yep. And to top that note, my senior year, we had, I don't even know what class, but we had a sub, and the sub was a joke.
Yeah.
And me and my buddies were like, dude, we should get high before this guy comes in. It was before lunch break. And so we went and talked around everybody. And I'll swear on my life, every single person in that class was high. We all went up to Sapphire Point. We all had a huge sesh, like 20 of us. And it was crazy because it was like the people that you didn't think smoke weed,
Right.
everybody. And we all come back, and I don't even remember, but like, I think the sub knew too. Because like, what are you going to do? Like, all of you?
Yeah, I'm not going to kick you all out of class.
Yeah.
He was probably fucking high too.
I mean, that's kind of what we thought.
Yeah.
Honestly, like, oh, he's not going to give a shit. But it's crazy. Like, that's where we grew up. Not everybody. But yeah, I mean, that's what it was. And I think that's where I got used to just being high, being drunk. And
I was going to say, was alcohol involved with this as well? Like in high school?
It was
the parties and.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. But I mean, my mentality is I just want to go get fucked up.
Yeah. So did you ever do anything outside of like alcohol or weed? Was it
mushrooms?
Yeah.
Yep. We'd eat some and then go climb a mountain, which is awesome, dude. Again, I'm not advocating at all, but it was just hanging out with your friends and having so much fun.
Yeah.
I mean, so much fun. Not healthy. I mean, one time we ate mushrooms and it was a massive snowstorm.
That would be
and
cool.
We went up on this off-roading trail, and I don't know how my buddy drove through that.
God,
it was intense.
Scary.
When big snowstorms, like where you really can't see anything, and at night too. So the headlights, when the headlights hit the snowflakes and it's shining it back, and you just can't see anything.
Yeah, it's called snowblind.
So imagine that on a 4-wheeling trail. Was one spot we were trying to go see. We did it. You had to put your truck in 4 low just to get up this thing.
That's probably in good weather,
let alone a snowstorm on mushrooms. God, we were so dumb, but that's just what we did.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, that was it, but everything all natural, nothing hard, no pills, no nothing, just, kind of natural stuff, which, alcohol aside, that was different though. That the mushrooms and stuff, that was just going on and having fun.
Yeah.
When I'm talking about the alcohol and getting so hammered, again, another story from high school before we move on is it was to a point too where we would all get blackout drunk. All of us, we go get a handle of Skull. McCormick's sucked. Skull was so much better.
Yeah. So much better.
And I was staying at my buddy's house and we got wasted. He had to get up early to go to work. And I just got up and went home. And I got a call from his sister, like cussing me out, like, you motherfucker, come over and clean up this mess. I had actually gotten sick in the middle of the night and yacked like all over their entertainment because they had a walkout basement. And I think I got up and was getting sick along the way, but I didn't notice it when I woke up in the morning. All over his like N64 and everything.
Sorry, it's not funny.
Oh no, it's not. I mean, it's kind of funny, but it just, that was like, I mean, that's what we were trying to do. Yeah. I remember times I was so wasted. Just anyway, I mean, crazy.
So would it be fair to say that the addiction started for you with the fun? Like you got addicted to the fun, the party life, having a good time, things like that, right?
Yeah, because I was insecure.
Yeah,
for sure. Because I just wanted friends to like me because I was always tagging around with like groups of friends. So there was these guys over here. They look like cool bros. I want to go over there.
So would you say that you could kind of like chameleon yourself into any group of people?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
I felt I was very much the same way.
Yep. Because I didn't have a core group.
Dude, you know what's funny? I think about this now and I'm like, I wonder why that was. And I think deep down, like I love people. But I honestly think deep down, I never wanted anybody to get too close to me. And I've thought about that recently because I felt the same way. I was like your group of friends in high school, Cody, all those dudes, like those guys. And then I had my own group of friends at Mountain View, but it was all very segregated, and I could call each group and like go do different things with each people, And I think about that now and I'm like, I wonder where that was. Cause I definitely had like my core group of like 4 or 5 that knew everything. But outside of that, dude, it was like I held people at a distance.
Yeah. And it's kind of a bummer now too, because I see all those dudes and they're still hanging out. And I was never like
super committed to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because their friendships were longer. Their
Right.
friendships were from kids,
Right.
you know, and then I wasn't.
Right.
And yeah, so senior year,
You always kind of felt like you're a little bit on the outskirts.
but I was like, oh, I'm gonna be the one that gets the most high. I'm gonna be the one that's all
See, and
fucked
that
up,
was the
so I
thing
can be
back.
like
Yeah,
that guy,
that was
make
the
them
thing.
laugh.
Well, and that was the thing back then, right? It's like who got the most fucked up. Like that was the one you were getting. Like people were telling stories about you on Monday and Tuesday, and people wanted to come out and hang out with you because you were wild. And yeah,
Yep,
dude, I
loved it.
Totally get that.
We all burned ourselves. We all brother burns
with lighters.
Oh man.
Or did you guys actually straight up brand yourselves?
Dude, check this out.
Oh man.
Yeah.
I remember this was a weird thing. I never did it, thank God, but
yeah, check this out. That scar right there.
Oh my God. Dude, that's
That's
gnarly.
a brand. Yeah. So
what did you use?
Take a guess. Seriously, guess.
A
weed pipe.
I was going to say a weed pipe.
Yeah, a glass weed pipe. So we just sat there, we're sitting around, burn it. Are you ready? And I'm like, and of course, me take it to the next level. I'm like, dude, just 20 minutes. I'll let you know when it's ready. I mean, the thing was piping hot, and I remember it like burned deep into my skin.
Yeah, it was like 3rd degree. Jesus, dude. My brother did that too, but
every time I bring that up, my wife asks me, "Hey, well, when's the last time you talked to him?" Like that night.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Because it was the night before. I think we were done. Our last final was like that Wednesday or Thursday, and then we graduated that Saturday, and we did it all on like that night. We were all partying, and then we all probably hung out over the summer. But then like I went to UNC. Most of them were smart enough to go to CU. I wasn't. And I kind of hung out with them then, but dude, that's it. I mean, I haven't talked to a lot of those guys lately.
Yeah, that's crazy. So high school, obviously partied a lot, did all that kind of stuff. Where were your parents? Did your parents know what was going on?
I lied to them. There's no way they didn't know. But the whole thing in high school, like, oh, I'm going to go stay at his house. And then he's saying he's going to stay at his house. And we all just did this lie together so we could just
go do whatever
be in the middle, whatever. So yeah, there's no way they didn't know. But one time, the one still thing that kind of makes me mad is my mom found a bag of weed of mine and she threw it away. And my reaction was like, well, you owe me $50. I'm dead serious. Yeah. Straight face. And that's when I know I broke her heart, but I didn't care because she freaking threw my weed, dude.
Yeah.
And so that's when of course I didn't know it was a problem then, but that's what I was like. Yeah. I just want to get out as fast as I could. Go to college. My parents couldn't get out of my dorm room fast enough. Upset my mom. My dad got pissed at me. He goes, well, fine, call your mom every Thursday. And then basically closed the door because I was being stubborn about, something. Oh, my turntables, whatever. But that was it, man. And then college, party. I went to probably 10 classes total.
Wow. In 4 years?
No.
Did you actually graduate?
No. Okay. No, I went there 1 year at UNC, and then I enrolled for 1 semester at Ames. Okay. But again, all of that whole time, 10 classes total.
How are your grades in high school?
Graduated like I think at 2.4.
Okay.
So not good. Just didn't care, dude. Yeah. I stayed eligible enough to play football and wrestling. I loved that. I love the sports. And then spring was skateboarding. Yeah. So barely got into UNC. Mom and dad footed the bill for me to just party and be an idiot. So college was definitely let's just go party. Yeah. Party.
So it just kind of amplified everything you were already doing.
Yep. But now there was no constraints.
And no checks and balances.
And I worked at a restaurant, at an amazing restaurant, Old Chicago, dude. Old Chicago, I owe a lot of my skills now to restaurant world. Yeah. Because of the service industry, what you have to do, the shit you have to take, people you got to deal with, the literal shit you have to clean up. It teaches you a lot.
I managed a deli in California, and it was crazy, dude. People are assholes when it comes to food.
Yep. But anyway, I think, so we would work until 1, 2 o'clock at night because I closed the kitchen. And then it was go time, and just the restaurant environment is great for friends. You have a lot of fun, but alcohol is the center piece of all of this. It's the gravitational pull. And so it was just partying, just whatever. But I would always, throughout this whole thing, I'd always get high. I'd wake up and smoke a bowl. Yeah. Always. And before work, get high. just so I like numb it and not have to like deal with it. So this was all the way through high school. Like I don't want to do something, so I get high, so it's not so bad.
Gotcha. So you're already creating. I mean, dude, you're what, 21, 22 at this point?
18.
Oh, fuck. Yeah, I guess you're right. Uh,
Veteran pothead, man.
yeah. Because that's like, dude, even at 18 years old, you're already like using a substance to kind of motivate you.
Cope.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say motivate, definitely cope.
Okay.
You know, oh, it sucks. I don't want to go to work. I don't want to close, but you get high anyway.
Yeah.
So, but it was great. I still like doing well though. You know, like I ascended fast. Because my dad definitely instilled amazing work ethic in me.
Yeah. I can tell.
So I remember his guys would always be like, dude, you're his son, like good fucking luck in life. You know, like, have you ever
Like
get
you
in
just
trouble?
had real high standards or?
The highest.
Yeah.
His shop was clean. His guys, because he was a firefighter, but then he retired from actually going on calls to being a fleet manager.
Okay.
So he ran the shop, and in the pit, basically where you do the oil changes, you know, like car pulls up and there's that pit down below.
Yeah.
So in the rules, pit rules, you know, leave it cleaner than you found it. Yada, 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 yada. And like he ran a tight ship for sure. And, this is a while back. We had a dog and he died. And the day that he died, I had to umpire a baseball game. And this is like, we put the dog down, like an hour before I had to be there. And he made me go umpire that game. And at first,
that was your responsibility.
At first I was like, Dad, you're such a dick. And like I think my mom and him had an argument about it, like let him have the day off. But he's like, no, you committed to it. You're going to do it.
Well, and it's good. I mean, that's good, dude, because you look at that stuff now, it's like life happens. You know, you can't just put shit on pause because your feelings got hurt.
Right.
Or, you know, you're feeling a certain way.
Exactly. So, and I've listened to that. I listen to that in my head all the time, how I felt. I mean, it was Choreo. It was my dog, dude, you know? And that taught me so much in that moment. And so anyway, so I'm working well. I'm ascending the ladder. So that's why I feel like I needed to go to school, because I was doing well over here. Getting that attention and gratification from someone else, which I was always constantly seeking, was there. I was doing great. I was cleaning walls. I was doing everything extra, kicking ass. I was like our line. I wish there was a competition for kitchens.
Like,
no, but like,
I don't know.
There's no way to like keep score, but that group, that front line and pizza line at Old Chicago, we would annihilate everybody. Ticket times under 12 minutes always. Like we were the Friday and Saturday crew, and I was at the center of it. We were awesome.
Yeah,
it was really cool. Making servers a bunch of money, having fun, getting it done. So it was great.
But after hours, there was a lot of drinking and partying and.
Yep. And then I was really in a spot where, I don't know, I think I was just kind of a weird spot. I was dating this girl. I didn't really like her, but I was with her for a long time because I was too nice to break up with her. And then I was starting to work mornings because I think I was starting to realize like, oh my God, I was staying up till 5 every morning was, you know, because you get off work at 2 and you only have 3 hours to party, you know, and we would literally sleep in until 3 or 4 when we had to wake up to go to work at 5. Then I wanted to switch to days because that was kind of wearing me out.
Yeah.
And then there's this pizza cook at the time, and he had his own troubles big time. He passed away now because of alcohol. He couldn't stop, but he introduced me to morning drinking. So at this time it was just smoking weed. And, we were at Old Chicago. It's funny too, because we've been, going to church with Naya's family lately, and we went to Old Chicago, and I remember staring at the wall where this change machine was. Every time I go there, I look at it, because that's where it started. And he's like, hey man, can you go break this $1 for me? What the fuck are you talking about? He's like, come on, let's go break $1. I'm like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
He had poured me a shot and set it on the change machine up at the bar, because in the mornings, we're not open yet. So this is like 8 in the morning. And, the manager walks into the office to go count drawers or whatever. And, he'd sneak up to the bar and pour shots. And, you know, misery loves company. He invited me to it. And
that's a bold move. Like, did he know that you weren't going to say anything about it?
Oh yeah, Yeah.
You guys were tight at that
Not a
point?
narc, bro.
Well, but did he know that is what I'm asking.
Yeah, because we had partied before.
Yeah.
But I don't know why
Like
he
what prompted him to do
brought
that?
it in. I don't know. I don't remember details. Maybe I probably said something stupid like, "Yeah, bro, I partied with you in the morning." I don't know, whatever. But anyway, it was a kids cup. We called it Kids Cup Cocktails, and our code was either the Chiefs were in town because KCC, or hey, dude, hey, can you go break $1 for me? That was our code. That like, bro, I went up and poured some shots. Like, it's your turn.
Yeah.
So that's when it was social. There, bad but still social.
Right.
And
it's easier to justify that, obviously, when you're doing it with somebody else.
Right. Yep. He was way deeper in his darkness than I was, but that was still social at that point.
Did you know at that point about anything going on in his life?
No, I was just too high or too drunk to even notice. Yeah. It was just partying. Yeah. It was just being,
that was your
being 22, 23 years old,
Yeah.
So then, Old Chicago was amazing. And I moved up to opening restaurants, assistant kitchen manager, things like that. I opened up this one here in Loveland, and then I was assistant kitchen manager. So I had keys, and, I think I remembered one day, like I was kind of whatever. And I was like, oh yeah, dude, I bet if I drink, I'll feel better. And that's when I started drinking in the morning by myself when I went over here. Cause again, I had keys. No one would tell me no. And
do you think it started, and this is just a random question, but maybe to stave off hangovers from the night before?
Yeah. Hair of the dog worked for sure.
Yeah.
And that's probably where it came from.
Yeah.
Because that's definitely what it was, because I never had like the shakes, or if I had a really light day of drinking and I woke up fine, I never woke up like wanting to drink.
Yeah, but you just had it. But dude, I remember partying with, and some of my friends, I'd wake up with these nasty hangovers, and headaches. And honestly, the best thing to do is to just get fucking drunk again.
Yep.
Drink 2 or 3 beers and you're fine.
Yep. Yeah. Oh yeah. And that's a lot of what it was, to not feel like shit.
Yeah.
And this one time when it was really bad, I was doing dough. So you have a shift where someone just makes pizza dough all day. You make it all day and you throw it away. It's not a bad shift.
Yeah.
But since I had keys, I could get there at 6. So I just get it done, be off at 2 and whatever.
Yeah.
And I got smashed, wasted, dude. So drunk. Rumplements. Well, it's 100 proof.
Yeah.
And it's really nasty. Easy to drink in the morning. Because it's
minty. Tastes like toothpaste.
Yeah. And it's not whiskey.
Yeah.
So no one smells it on you.
Right.
Yeah, man, the girl I was dating at the time, she was a server there, and I was acting weird. And I was like, so when you put the dough in the pan, we had this stuff called phase. It was like fake butter that you put over it so the dough wouldn't dry out. And I was like doing it with my hands. Everybody knew I was fucked up, but they didn't know I was wasted. And so they called her for her to come pick me up and take me home, because they honestly thought I was having a stroke.
Seriously?
Because I was that fucked up, And I remember driving, and this is the first time I like talked myself into getting caught, I think, because I was driving home. I was like, man, I hope they don't think I'm drunk. And mind you, this is like 9:45 in the morning. So nice. No one is thinking I'm drunk. And then I remember she like turned her head to me. I'm like, what? And I'm like, go take a nap, And they were like, they gave her the day off of work so they could just have her watch me.
That's crazy.
And I lived by myself at the time, and she just dropped me off the apartment. And I'm like, I'm out of here. Goodbye. Passed out, whatever. So you can imagine where this is going.
Yeah. Just progressively got worse and worse.
Yep. Zero accountability. So blaming other people. And this is like getting so bad where I just don't even give a fuck anymore. Go into the beer cooler because I'm doing an order, and just getting hammered, wasted. Was
the ways of you trying to hide it becoming more and more like, I don't really care. Like, I'm not even trying to hide this anymore. Or did you always try to hide it pretty well?
Oh, I hid it very well. But then it was getting into being necessity, because I wanted to get back to just being numb. Right. I remember I had a conversation with one of my line cooks about smoking weed every day. And he was the same thing. He goes, yeah, we're just getting back to normal.
Do you think there was anything that you were running away from at that time?
I had nothing to run away from, dude. I have amazing parents. I had a great family. I was just...
You just loved to party, and it just got physically addictive?
Yeah. The mental mentally addictive because it didn't matter if it was weed or alcohol.
Yeah. And I think that's important to highlight, dude, because the mental addiction is tough, right? Like if you're struggling with these substances already, you're already probably not in a great place mentally, because if you're mentally strong, you can deal with stress and anxiety and, those kinds of things. You can rationalize it. So I was just curious if maybe there was something in your life that wasn't going right at that time.
Yeah. I mean, I was young too, but I was running a kitchen is not easy.
No, I can imagine, dude. Like I worked at a restaurant I was a busboy for like 3 months and I fucking hated it.
Yeah.
I was actually at the Dylan Dam Brewery.
No, really?
Yeah, dude. Seriously.
Dude, my buddy, Justin's dad, George, owns that.
Seriously?
Yeah. I was a busser there.
That's my only experience in restaurants. And I fucking hated it.
That's the only job I quit.
I walked out. I told my shift manager because she kept putting my name on the schedule wrong. And I was like, if you can actually tell me what my name is, I'll work these shifts.
Oh, man.
And she's like, yeah, it's Michael. I'm like, nope, see you later. Fuck you. It's Mitch. It wasn't even close, dude.
There was this girl manager that came in and I was hot shit, like my buddy, my buddy's dad owns this place. Like, you can't tell me, and I remember this one time, dude, I messed up my knee from wrestling and there was 2 busters on and one was kind of designated upstairs and one was downstairs. And she put me upstairs and I was like, can I please switch because my knee hurts. I don't want to go up and down the steps. And that's where it started. And then, I was defiant to her cause she was new, whatever. Yeah. And then she's like, well, I'm not going to have this 16-year-old buster tell me. I wonder if it's the same girl.
Dude, I probably.
And I remember.
How old were you?
16 or 17. I think I was 16.
I was 19.
This would have been 2020 or 2001.
Okay. Mine was after high school. It could have been the same gal.
Yeah. So I remember like I was in the office. She was just yapping at me and I was like, I took off my apron. Fuck you. I quit. Like,
yeah. That's literally what I did, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, that was the only job I ever quit.
Yeah.
But anyway.
That's funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, you were saying like the restaurant world is tough. I agree. And it's the people, dude. Like it's service, right? Anytime you get in service industries, it can be pretty brutal.
Yeah. And expectations. I had an amazing manager. But she ran again like a tight ship, so a lot of parallels with my dad, sort of making her happy, getting things done, being on point, and it just being drunk made it easier to deal with the stress.
Yeah.
So, I eventually get fired, 0 accountability. I remember the server that did it and I've talked to her since, actually saw her a couple nights ago. And she's the one that narked me out. Sorry, that's not what I meant.
She's the one that I shed light on the situation.
Yeah, I mean, she narked me.
She helped you.
I was feeling at the time this fucking narc, like whatever. But she, did her job. Like
she probably saved your life.
The best thing about Old Chicago is they taught empowerment, and you're an owner. We weren't like really owners, but like they have ownership over your job.
Right.
Like your section is your own business.
Well, and they're teaching you to take accountability for what's in your world.
Yeah, Old Chicago was amazing in that way, man.
That's
There's
awesome.
no restaurant that was even close to that awesome.
That's cool.
Then, so anyway, I remember it too. I remember I sensed every single day that I got fired. I knew it when I woke up. I just had incredible anxiety, and I knew I was getting fired.
Yeah.
And because everybody was acting weird around me, and then because I saw that meeting that they had, I was like, that fucking bitch is telling me right now. She's telling me, I know she is like, like, well, they're distracted, so of course I go in and take a shot. But anyway,
yeah, you're like, I'm taking this bottle with me.
Yeah. So I get fired, and then I go to another restaurant. I'm gonna do good last week until I figured out, this is how I can do it.
Yeah, you figured out the system.
Yep. Because my resume was impressive.
Yeah.
And everybody always asks, why'd you leave your last restaurant? And Old Chicago had conveniently sold at that time, and it was a different place, and I didn't like it. And so I just left.
Yeah.
I was like, I just left. The new ownership, I didn't like it. Blah blah blah. Because they don't actually even if you call a restaurant, they can't tell you they fired you because of alcohol. They can say you're terminated and you're rehireable or not. That's all they can say.
Gotcha.
Knowing
so okay, think about that. They can't say it's because of alcohol. Is
Correct.
that because it'll ruin your career?
It's just
in the restaurant world?
no,
Like,
because like, what if I wasn't actually drinking and they thought I was, and there was a dispute? Like, what if I wasn't actually drinking and they thought I did? They
then
can't say that they
there's a
fired
legal
me
dispute.
because of alcohol.
I'm just curious if it was like they did that also. Like that could be a reason why it remains so prevalent in that industry. You know, because it's
Yeah.
like they're not actually being disciplined for the root cause of what's going on.
Right. And when you have a resume that was impressive as mine, I got hired everywhere.
Yeah.
Didn't matter. So go to this other place. It's a bar. It's called CB Potts. Freaking awesome place too. Staple in CSU.
Yep.
It's like the tallest bar in Northern Colorado or something.
Maybe.
Or Colorado, but they're not open anymore. But same thing. A bunch of recipes had beer in it. And I moved up as a kitchen manager there. Moved over to a golf course, and that's when it got bad. I was living by myself then. And I had a really rough year in 2012. Not because the Mayan calendar expired, but I was dating this girl. This funny story. I was dating this girl, and she was like wanting me to marry her and stuff. And I don't think I really liked her, but again, I was too nice to say no. I was like, let's just get through 2012, because if the world ends, like,
I'm good. I'm off the hook.
yeah, dude. Oh, some of the things I make up in my mind. Funny.
Dude, it's crazy what you believe when you're wasted.
Yeah. So, and that year is actually really, really important to the story. Is then I was, that place I was just drinking like crazy. Didn't matter. And that year I had a manager that I was really close with. She died.
Okay.
Yep. That was a super sad day. Wear helmets, ladies and gentlemen. She died. My grandpa, my dad's dad, I loved a ton. He was great, one of the greatest humans ever. He wasn't perfect, but the amount of love that he showed me and my sister, oh man, love that guy. There's a golf course, or there's a golf tournament every year named after him down there in Texas.
Really?
Yep. He started it back in '92, and then when he passed away, they renamed it the Hoagie Nelson Memorial Tournament.
Wow, that's cool.
Oh, it's so cool. So he passed away. That girl I was dating with, that I was too nice to break up with, she cheated on me.
Yeah, so a bunch of emotional trauma.
Yep. And my sister got the bad meningitis.
Oh, really?
And almost died.
Jeez.
And all this is all happening like at the same time.
Yeah.
That's when I started drinking to cope, because before it was, I had a perfect life, dude. I grew up in the mountains. Like I had nothing to worry about. So that all goes down. And then that's when it was like really, really bad. I would intentionally not order something like onions or basil. Like, oh, God, shit, we ran out of onions. I guess I got to go get some.
I see. Yeah.
And that liquor store next to King Soopers on Timberline and Horsetooth. That was my go-to place. Bottle of Jaeger in the car. And this is crazy. They have systems in place for inventory for the golf cart because of me. When I went down there, because it was a really small kitchen and we had a cooler downstairs, and one day I'm walking by the golf cart, or the beverage cart.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, I wonder what's in there. Shooters. Nothing's locked, because no one's alcoholic piece of trash like I was. And I just started drinking like the really gross stuff, like the gin and whatever, to not get caught. But then eventually, I just started drinking everything. And I remember, so behind the bar, there was no office in this place. There's a little computer kind of tucked behind the bar that we could do our orders on. And I think the manager had called a meeting to all the girls that were doing bev carts. And like, guys, we got to figure this missing shooters thing out. Look, Christy, on your shift, we lost 6. And I'm like sitting back there like,
oh shit.
Yeah. And I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry, girls. But when you're in that mode, you just can't think. So eventually I get caught. They point it down to me, and and so I go get another job. Guess what? Same thing. And but that's when I met Naya at that place. And I vividly remember my first date with her. We went to Old Chicago, and I got a beer because I think I got there first. And the second she walked in, the second I started meeting her, I was like, dude, I don't even need this beer. Our first 4 or 5 dates didn't even need the alcohol, because she just made me feel so good.
Yeah.
And she didn't really drink either. So that was also kind of nice.
Yeah.
But like everything else, Worthen, and I come home, and I remember one time I came home, or I just went over to her house afterwards, and she like smelled me. She's like, "You're drinking tequila. I went to college too." Like before, it's just kind of a joke.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I got fired from that place again. Worked at another place for like a week and a half. Worked at another place for a little while.
Yeah.
Worked at this bar called Baker Street, and this was like an actual bar. And that was the first time this was like getting destructive. This is down on 120th and Wadsworth in North Denver.
Yeah.
And I was driving, I can't remember whose car it was. Or was that even before? No. I don't know. Missed a turn. I was just turning left. No, I was turning right and just failed because I was wasted. I drove drunk every single day for like 5 years. Didn't matter.
Wow.
Missed the turn. Broke like the rocker arm of the car. This is 2, 3 in the morning.
Yeah.
Probably later than that, 3, 4 in the morning. Drove all the way from Denver to Loveland on 287, probably going 35, 40 miles an hour, because that's as fast as I could go before the steering wheel in the car wouldn't go.
Sorry, that's not funny. That's fucking
I mean,
crazy.
it's funny, but yeah.
It's a miracle that you survived.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't tell you how many times I got away with I got pulled over on I-25 once, blew a .049. So in Colorado, 0.5 is
a DWAI,
and then 0.8 is DUI.
Yep.
Oh man. I remember the cop, like he did the breathalyzer and he goes, "Huh, you lucky bastard. Have a good day."
Yeah.
See you, sir.
And that happened a couple times, didn't it? Where you didn't really have anything bad happen when it probably should have.
Left a bar. The car I had a recall on the taillights. So every time I got in that car, I had to readjust the taillights. I had to like prop my skateboard up under it so it would stay on. Forgot to do it. Got pulled over a couple blocks from the house, reeked of alcohol. Cop's like, "Man, you really, really stink." And I'm like, "Yeah, I promise you, I just took a shot, got in the car, and we're going home, sir." "Yeah, okay. Well, would you mind doing the test for me?" So I did the Dewey dance. We were on like a slope of the road, and I drunk and stumbled. He goes, "Oh, you were on the slope. Let's just get you on some flat ground." I'm like,
Yeah,
you're so
thanks,
smart.
man.
Let's do that. And nailed it. Killed it. And was very respectful, very everything the whole time. And he's like, "Man, you just stink like alcohol." Another cop had pulled up at the same time, and neither of them had breathalyzers on them.
That's crazy.
And he's like, "Yep, why don't you, where are you going?" I was like, "I'm just going right there, 2 blocks away." He goes, "You know what? We'll follow you. Just make sure you get home safe."
Sounds like an awesome cop.
Well, it's amazing when you're respectful, nice to people, what things happen. I'm not saying that to get out of DUIs. I'm not.
Yeah.
But if you immediately take a shit tone with anybody, you're going to kind of get a shit attitude back.
Yeah, that's true.
So yeah, wrecked that car. The wrecked it, drove all the way back, somehow made it. Then the most recent one, and probably the one I feel the most crappy about, is driving home from Baker Street, same restaurant, same everything, 3 in the morning. I was like falling asleep driving, but I made it to Loveland, and I was on 34, turned left onto Redwood by Home Depot.
Yeah.
I have no idea why. Probably because I saw a cop or something, and fell asleep on Redwood towards the sugar factory.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Drove over railroad tracks. And that's when I woke up, because I think hitting the thing, and I went over the railroad tracks through a fence. Called a tow truck company, and they're like, "Yeah, or the cops are already on the way. If it's a single car crash, that's our protocol."
Yep.
Then I called Linnea.
That's how I got a DUI.
Then I called Linnea. She's 8 or 9 months pregnant with Connor.
Were you guys married at this point?
No. And I'm like, I think I screwed up. I don't know. She'll tell the story better than I can, because I was drunk. I don't remember. But I was like, I think I screwed up. And she's like, "Where are you?" I'm like, "I don't know. I mean, I think I'm here." And she found me on my cell phone.
Yeah.
And cop came and ran my information, and he's like, "Okay, have a good night. Looks like you got your wife here."
That's crazy.
Yeah, man. definitely didn't deserve any of the getting away with it, if you will.
That's nuts, dude. Because I did the same thing. I was driving back. I think we went to a bar with some friends, and they dropped me off in my car. And dude, I was less than a mile from my house, but there was this turn that had like a big sweeping left, or yeah, big sweeping. And I used to just take it fast because it was fun.
Mm-hmm.
And I fucking hammered down on that corner, dude, and lost control. My car slides off the road, bounces up on top of a boulder, so it's planted there, won't move.
Oh my gosh.
Bends both tires in, and I called my dad because it was actually his car. And I was like, hey, dude, I just wrecked your car. I'm walking home. And he's like, all right. So he calls a tow truck. And, you know, long story short, cops show up at my house, breathalyze me, wasted, find drugs in my pocket, get arrested.
Yeah.
But yeah. So you got a lot more lucky than I did.
Yeah. Not proud of it at all. But again, there's no consequences, man. Like I had they go that when you talk about like rock bottom or whatever, man, I was just shoveling away sand.
Yeah.
It was just, okay, you know, no big deal. Just don't notice it.
Right.
And, you know, at that point, the getting fired wasn't a big deal. Of course, Naya's there. Like Naya was there. I got fired from Coyotes. That was the first job that someone had asked me. She didn't ask me, the lady who fired me. She's like, you need to get help, but you're not working here. So get out of here. The same manager that fired me the first time at Old Chicago hired me at Baker Street. And I remember when we talked about, are you still drinking? Nah, man, I'm cool. You know, Naya was pregnant at the time. And, you know, we kept having these like false alarms with the pregnancy, you know, just like her contraction is really bad and I got to go. But I got fired and he's like, do you need help? And he was giving me a total handout. Because if there's something that like, and you know, I might be totally wrong on this, but if you say you have a problem with alcohol and you need help, they can rehire you or they can't fire you. They put you on like leave.
Yeah.
So you can go get right. Something to do with like FMLA, I think. But stubborn me, I'm like, no, I'm good, man. I got wasted. So of course Barry fired me again. And Barry is probably one of the best managers in the entire world. Rest in peace. He just passed away, sadly. But he was such a good dude, such a good, caring human. And I think that one hurt me the most because I betrayed his trust twice.
Yeah.
And so then I got fired from Baker Street. I worked at Carrabba's for like a week.
Just enough to steal a case of wine.
Yeah, they had alcohol in the back. And I remember like doing my trainings in the office and like one of the office managers comes in and I just reek of booze. And she goes, wow, it smells like alcohol in here. I'm like, what do you mean?
Yeah, not me.
Yeah. And then I worked at PF Chang's and that was the first time I like took a break from alcohol for a few months because Connor was born. No. Yeah. PF Chang's was amazing, dude. They gave me I worked there as a manager for like a couple weeks and then Connor was born and they gave me 2 weeks leave paid.
Really?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yep. So that was a really good job. And Connor was born and I'm like, I didn't even drink that whole time. That was from when Naya was in labor to when Connor was born. That was probably like a day and a half to 2 days. Totally sober. Maybe even a couple days after that when she was home, but like I didn't drink at all for a little bit. It was really, really cool. But then, you know, old habits die hard, man. Drinking. And every time I got fired, dude, I made up some bullshit excuse and lied to Naya about it.
Yeah.
You know, and she's such a sweetheart. I definitely don't, again, things that I don't deserve or that I did deserve. Like I deserved for her to leave me for some of the stuff I did with alcohol. I deserved all those DUIs that I didn't get. But somehow she stayed with me and, again, got fired, got lied, you know, again, it's a thing. And then I got out of a restaurant world forever. And took this job called True Green, which I had to like drive. I had to get like a CDL-B, I think. And I didn't drink at all during that. It was good because, you know, I think I was smart enough to not drink because I'm driving like chemicals down I-25.
Yeah.
So that was really good. And then I went to tradesman, which is a sales job, like selling construction labor. And this is where comes the sobriety stuff. So, fell out of my car, getting home, and she was there. She had already made dinner. She's like, "Hey, it's time to eat." So I started making dinner. Because that makes sense.
Yeah, because you're
I'm like pulling out pans and stuff, and she's like, "What the fuck are you doing?" I was like, "I'm making dinner." She's like, "It's already ready." That's it. She's like, "I'm done." Grab Connor, call my mom. You need to come get your kid out the door. I pass out. I wake up, mom, dad, Naya. And then, I don't really remember it, but it was some sort of an intervention. That next day, my neighbor was going through a journey, took me to AA. And that's where it started, man. That was it. Done. Yeah. Just, that's it. No more.
So obviously, like, your family meant the most to you, that was enough for you to, it sounds like they kind of gave you an ultimatum. Didn't Naya give you an ultimatum?
Get sober or get gone.
Yeah.
Period. End of story. And that's what's great about her mom, and her. They're just very direct. It's like, there is no middle ground. It's black and white.
I appreciate that for sure. I feel like I'm that way. My wife struggles with it from time to time, but she's getting better at it. Mm-hmm. So you went to AA. Did you continue doing that process or?
No, because I wasn't as spiritual then as I am now.
Yeah.
And it was, the thing that bothered me was, well, you got to give yourself up to your higher power because you're not strong enough to do this. And I'm naturally stubborn, and I'm like, no way, I got myself in this mess. I'm getting myself out. Thank you. It was great. The best thing about that, though, I sat in the middle of the room the very first day, and I heard all the stories, and it was such a relief. Yeah. I was like, oh my God. Like, I thought I was a crazy person because I was drinking at 5 a.m. I would literally plan my whole days about waking up to get there early because I had keys, because I was a manager, to get drunk and have my day.
Yeah.
And when I heard that everybody was just as messed up with me, in their own ways, it was such a relief. I was like, oh my gosh, I thought I was such a bad person, but it was so cool seeing that. That was the best thing about it.
That's awesome.
Yep.
Yeah. And that is, dude, I mean, that's very freeing to understand that you're not the only person walking through that battle, and it really is. There's actually I've been surprised with how many people struggle with it. Mm-hmm. And people that you wouldn't expect. I remember when I did rehab, I was surprised, first of all, that it was mostly women that was in my group. I think there was 11 of us, and I think 7 of them were women.
Wow.
So I didn't really realize that. And yeah, dude. And then same thing, like people just planning their life around alcohol, and yeah. And then realizing too that there were people that were farther down that road than I was. And I think that was kind of like a sigh of relief as well. I mean, it sucks for them, but I don't know. It's like the thing that people say, there's always somebody that's more badass than you. Like there's always somebody that's more fucked up than you.
Yeah. You brought up an interesting point though. And I don't know what made me think of this, but the more women than men, I think women are more apt to say they have a problem and then go do something about it. I think us as men have a harder time doing that because, we're fine.
Well,
we're okay.
Yeah, it's toxic masculinity, right? Like just holding that stuff in because that's what we were told that we were supposed to do for so long, and it's just like, well, I'm a man, like I can just deal with it. And reality, dude, that's not true. Like we're all humans. Mm-hmm. And I heard this somewhere. I haven't researched it, so you can fact check me, but I believe in the Korean culture, they have a term because they stuff their emotions.
Yeah.
And like, that's their cultural way of dealing with shit is you just don't talk about it. And they actually have a term that translates to burning fire. And it's that's talking about people that basically crack because their emotions and their demons are just so bad, they have no outlet for them. So I thought that was interesting, and it's true. Like, I don't know. I think that true strength is identifying the issue and then having the balls to stand up and be like, you know what? I did this and I did this to you. I did this to me and I'm going to go fix it.
Yep.
And repent from it, and the difference between saying I'm sorry and repenting is huge.
Yep.
Repenting is laying something down and never coming back to it.
Well, think of it like a kid, dude. Connor gets in trouble and he goes, I'm sorry. I'm like, are you sorry that you got caught? Exactly. Or are you actually truly sorry?
Right.
And to that point, man, I think a lot of what we're trying to do here, though, is give people the strength to say you're not okay and go get help. We're not talking about going in front of the boys and crying in front of them, right? I mean, if that's what it takes, great, good on you. But
just find people you trust in your life. Find an environment that you can be open and feel like that you're not being judged, because the other thing too is if you're opening up to somebody that's not an alcoholic, they're never going to understand it.
Yep.
Ever. And it's just, my wife to this day doesn't understand addiction because she just doesn't struggle with it, and so you have to be around a group of people that understand where you're coming from, and I think that's true for anything in life, anything at all. You want to master something, go hang out with people that are really good at it.
Exactly. So,
dude, let me ask you this. So you didn't do AA, you didn't do rehab, you cold turkeyed it, man. Like, you just went after it. Like, talk a little bit about that, because that's pretty uncommon.
Yeah. All my love for my wife and son is what did it, man.
Yeah. That's it.
It's crazy. In the worst of my alcohol, I didn't need alcohol to be around Naya. I didn't want it. She was the drug that was what filled me. Right. And when I got sober, the fear of losing her and Connor, it just set me right, because I was here's the difference though. I was in so much pain, bro.
So I was going to say, like, you had to have been ready for this to not be a part of your life.
Because it felt good when I took my break from alcohol. And then I guess you could say I relapsed for another year plus or so.
Yeah.
But like, for example, I had a bear's patch in my beard right here. Totally bare.
From
alcohol.
Throwing up?
No, I never really puked a ton, but just drinking drinking shots, drinking alcohol, drinking poison over and over all day, every day for freaking 20 years. Maybe not 20, but a long time.
Yeah.
And emotionally in pain, physically in pain, hiding, lying. I was done with it, dude. But I couldn't stop because I had to drink. And so the second I was able to be honest with Naya and like throw away all the shooters in my car, all the things I was hiding, I could finally be honest, because my fear was
that you'd lose them.
If I came open and honest about my alcoholism and showing them how bad it really was. But the second I was able to do that, it was freeing, bro. Relief gone.
The other thing too I want to highlight here is they knew.
Everybody knows.
And that's the thing, is my wife knew.
Yep.
Dude, my 5-year-old daughter knew.
Mm-hmm.
My 2.5-year-old son at the time knew what alcohol was.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, the people around you are not stupid.
Yep.
But at the same time, you're in that sense, like, you're a volatile person.
Yep.
And I know that I'm still unwinding trauma for my wife that I caused, and my kids.
And that's what people around you want. They want you to get sober. We know, like, your life is feeling stressed and they're weird around you and all that because you're drinking. The second you stop, they're gonna be fine with it. I promise. There's not gonna be a single person that's gonna leave your life when you get sober. You might have bad friends that leave you,
but that's a good thing.
It's okay. I mean, if they're just your drinking buddies, I mean, yeah, you might have a long lasting relationship, but unless you both get sober together, they're going to be dragging you down. There's this thing that I learned at church the other day is crabs in the bucket. So if you put a crab in a bucket, it's going to find its way out.
Right.
But if you put a whole bunch of crabs in the same bucket and one tries to crawl out, all the crabs are going to pull that one back in the bucket.
That's cool.
Mm-hmm. So
I've never heard that.
Yep. So, when you got all the haters and misery love company and whatever analogy you want to use, crabs in the bucket, man, get out.
Yeah.
Because, like, think about it. You're going to eventually die in that bucket because you're a crab. You need whatever crabs need.
Well, and dude, it's like you said, misery loves company, and I'll tell you this, in my life, in my experiences with this, it's actually been the exact opposite. I've had family members, friends that have come to me and be like, dude, I'm ready. Like, I want to do this too. And I'm not even going to them. It's just living your life that way, and attracting people and being honest and vulnerable about, hey, this is where I'm at. Mm-hmm. This is the things I struggled with, and putting that shit right on the front line and saying, you know what, judge me for it. It's okay.
Yeah.
And 80% of people are going to love you for it. 20% of people are going to hate you for it. And that's just the way the world works.
It's amazing when you see that change, though.
It is. It's incredible, dude. Awesome. And it's motivating.
Yeah.
I used to be very guilt motivated. And it was just like, I would get up in the morning and it's like, fuck, I have to go do this. Like, if I don't do this, all of this other stuff is going to happen. So I'd feel guilty, You know, like I'm guilty of that. I got up at 9 o'clock because I drank too much last night. And instantly, dude, I'm starting my day guilt motivated.
Yep.
You know, and now it's not that way, dude. I'm actually like attracted to what we're doing. You know, I'm attracted to the business that I have and my family. And it's like, I want to be around those things, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So that's really cool, man.
Yep. But to answer your question again, I did therapy.
Okay.
Yep. I found a counselor, a drug and alcohol counselor. Met her once a week, I think. I don't know. I don't remember the cadence, but
quite a while.
Yeah. And what was really cool is my insurance at the time covered X amount of visits. So, I mean, we didn't have a ton of money.
Yeah.
You know, rehab was at whatever. And I just felt that was a really good way to go.
Yeah.
And it worked.
And that's all that matters, dude. There's a million different ways to skin a cat, right?
Yeah.
And I think each that's why I love doing this podcast, because every story we hear is so different.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like we all struggle with something that's extremely similar, and we can identify like, oh, the pain, the thing, like, yeah, I can relate to that, but maybe not in the exact sense. You know, there's always something different, whether it's the emotional aspect, the spiritual aspect, all of it. You know, it's just, that's why I love doing this, because each story is so unique, you know, and you can learn something new from everybody.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of cool. I don't know if this is common, but I think there's always something we had to reach out to someone else. Maybe not everybody, you know, but if there's someone else in your world that kind of helped you get sober.
Yeah.
Like, yes, Naya was, you know, even the thought of losing Connor and Naya was enough, but I still needed someone else out there to help.
Yeah. Well, and in that, and I agree, dude, because you need a guide. You know, I mean, you're basically retraining your way of thinking.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that's not an easy thing to do. It requires an insane amount of vulnerability. You know, and then on top of it, you're already broken at that point because you're dealing with addiction. I mean, for me, I didn't even trust myself to pick the rehab facility to go to. I made my brother do it.
But that's how strong you were, dude. You gave that up to someone else.
Yeah, I had to. And I think I was so embarrassed too at the whole thing that I just kind of sat in the corner like a wounded puppy dog, you know, and just, I told my brother and my wife, I was like, you just deal with this, dude. I don't have the capacity to deal with this right now. Put me where you think is best. I'll sign a power of attorney if I have to, you know, like whatever. So I don't really know where I was going with that, but that's just kind of like my experience. And, you know, it's hard, right, to get into those things. But if you're there and you're in that place where you're ready, I guarantee you there's people in your life that already know that what's going on, and they want to help you, and trust those people to lead you in the right direction.
And I'm probably going to say it over and over and over again on these episodes, and I'll say it again right now, but man, that feeling I had when I was able to be honest with myself,
totally, man,
and other people, all the stress and all the fears and all the shit was immediately gone.
I mean, and it's hard to explain unless you've been through it. But I mean, it really, and it sounds cliche, but I feel like in life, we all have a backpack on, you know, and it's like, whether the decisions we make and the choices that we make, you know, it's you choose what to put in that backpack, you know, and by making those decisions, by burying your emotions, by not dealing with it, you're just filling that fucking thing up with rocks, man. And it's heavy and it's hard and it's, you know, and you have to carry that every day through your life, you know, and of course it's going to weigh you down. So it's just, and it's like releasing that, dude, just taking that off and like standing up for the first time on your own 2 feet, you know? So it's so hard to explain, but it's this insanely wonderful emotional release from all of that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's awesome, man. And it's really cool, you know, some of the people that we've helped and some of the people that reached out in my lives that are, you know, especially lately. You know, these people are, you know, it's wrecking families, dude. Like, I mean, I can't tell you the feelings that I feel now of when I hear someone just going through some shit and their wives are calling and they're crying and everything. And it's like, oh my God, I know where you're at. And just come out. But, you know, everybody's different. Everybody needs that moment before they get sober. But, you know, hopefully listen to this a few times is going to help some people and give them the avenues and get right, man.
So what do you want to leave with on this episode? Like, is there any kind of nugget of wisdom overall that you feel like has helped you through your journey?
Honesty, man.
Yeah.
Just be honest.
personal accountability.
Yeah, I mean, accountability is freaking huge, and I know that's been a theme in our episodes, and it definitely will be, because you can't make someone else's problems, or you can't make your problems someone else's problems.
Dude, and honestly, if I'm being completely transparent, like personal accountability is probably the number one reason that I wanted to start this. Because if I'm on my soapbox preaching to the world, like, wake the fuck up, people. Take personal accountability for the things that are happening in your life. You want to change the world? You want to change your world? Start looking at yourself. Stop pointing the finger at everything around you. Oh, my situation is this. Oh, I was here. You know what? Everybody can do the same thing. Yes, situations are different, but you never know what God has for you until you stop doing that and you look at yourself and you start pointing the finger at yourself and you say, what am I doing that is affecting my trajectory?
I would say 99% of problems, you can look at yourself and could avoid it or get better from it.
I agree.
It's not someone else's problem. You take ownership of how you react to it. Right. Okay, if someone walks down the street and it's the only thing I can think of. If someone walks down the street and takes a shit in the sidewalk and you step in it and then you blame that person, you're an idiot. Walk around it.
Right.
Like, yeah, okay, they probably couldn't have done that. But at the same time, like, if you still step in the shit and then blame person, that is 100% on you.
I mean, honestly, it's a terrible analogy, but it's also it's a really good one, because you're right, dude. And that's the thing. It's like, I shouldn't have stepped there, and it goes so far as even to like filters down into your family, right? Like extreme ownership. If my kid screws up something at school, that's my fault. That's not his fault. That's my fault.
Yes.
It's my responsibility to raise that child.
Yes.
And if something like that happens, it's my responsibility to sit down with that child and say, hey, look, this is not okay.
Dude, that's, in my opinion, that's why I think grades don't matter. Because listen.
Expand on that.
Yeah.
I have 8 minutes.
Yeah, I know. That's why grades don't matter to an extent. If that kid goes out and gets a 30% on a test, I'm not going to freak out on him.
Yeah.
Okay, son, let's look at this. What happened? Did we study for it? Did you tell me
I think
where we were at so I could have helped you prepare better? My fault. I'm a dad. I'm guiding him through this. And then if he goes out and gets a 60% on the next test,
you reassess.
Okay, hey, look, man, look, we did doubly better, but look, we still got a long way to go.
Right.
That's why I say grades don't matter. To an extent that, like, if you're a good person and you're accountable.
Well, and I think that the personality in situations like that, like school, dude, I agree. I actually heard this the other night. You know who entrepreneurs are?
C students?
Exactly.
Yeah, dude. Because they're
the ones looking out the fucking window, imagining their future.
Someone could argue that the school system is set up to make great W-2 employees.
And you know what? But at the same time, let's take extreme ownership here. And it's our responsibility to identify that inside of our child.
Right.
Right. And it's my responsibility to identify those things inside of my wife and inside of myself, and it's like, if I'm having an argument with my wife, dude, when you look in the mirror and you don't like what you see, you don't try to change the mirror's reflection. You go change your fucking clothes. You go change the physical appearance of, it's the same thing emotionally. It's the same thing spiritually. If you look in the mirror and you see something you don't like, you don't blame it on the other person.
Right.
Because that's never going to go anywhere. You have to sit down and reflect on yourself. What choices am I making in my life that are leading me to this point? And if people do, it's exactly what's wrong with our world. It's what's wrong with our political system. It's everywhere. And it's one of the biggest reasons. I think it's why we struggle with suicide so much in our generation, because nobody's taking ownership for their life. And it's crazy to me. And I did it for so long. I was my own God. People have to find something in this life to live for that's bigger than themselves.
Yep.
A cause, whatever. Join a 501c3. If you're an alcoholic, get sober. Start helping other alcoholics. It's a requirement in AA. That's a requirement in AA, is that once you get to that point, you turn around and you help someone else, because community drives everything that we need, and we can't live our lives isolated.
Yeah.
And we can't live our lives pointing the finger at everybody else.
that's what I'm worried about. People are just sitting back and just literally blaming everything in their life, and they're not going anywhere.
So sorry, I just went on a tangent, but
no,
that is,
dude, that's what I want to leave.
Yeah.
Like that right there. You said it way better than I could, man.
Yeah.
I think of everything that pisses me off. It's that.
Well, and that's the one thing that I think I'm the most passionate about in all of this is that, and to lead.
I saw the fire in your eyes, bro.
It's what I'm saying, dude. To lead is to lead.
I'm not blaming anybody, dude.
And no, exactly. But I'm saying, like, I'm teaching my kids this right now, right? To lead is to be the first one to do it.
Yeah.
And not to say, hey, you go do that and we'll see how it works out for you and then tack from there. No, dude, if you're going to tell 100 people to jump off a cliff, guess who's jumping first?
Yep.
Me.
Yep.
And that's why I'm episode 1. You're episode 4. It's the beginning. We're setting the tone for what we want this to be, right? We're taking ownership for our lives, leading with vulnerability. And, I just hope that God can use that to impact your lives, the listener, impact our lives, honestly, make our lives better. And so far, it's been nothing but rainbows and roses, man.
Yep. 100%.
So,
yeah.
But with that, I got about 4 minutes until I got to get on this call. So if you want to come back and re-record a closing to this, I'm cool with that. But I have to jet. I'm just going to go sit in this boardroom out here.
Oh yeah. No, you're good. Really, but no, thanks for having me.
Aaron, thank you, dude. Thanks for your vulnerability. And dude, I want to say this. Thank you for partnering with me on this and sharing the mission and the vision, dude. Like, you've really helped me move past some serious hurdles with this podcast, and I'm very critical of myself, of the things that I do. I try not to be a perfectionist, but I think I am. And you've really helped me move past a lot of that stuff in this podcast.
Oh, of course, bro. I'm grateful for the call. I'm vocal about it. This was perfectly fit right into what I'm trying to do.
Perfect.
Let's go help some people.
Let's do it, man. Thank you so much for your story. And listener, thank you guys for listening.